Chapter 15 Visions of Things Yet to Come, Part 2. I'm listening intently as Verity explains certain areas of the unseen universe and colours in what are possibly her own pet theories. But also, on other levels, my mind is racing and delivering unexpected comforts that have been lacking in my conscious existence until now. Could this be the energy and sensation of kinship? I attempt to push these more fanciful thoughts to one side and bring all of my focus back to Verity's words. She deserves my utmost and fullest attention. I've been watching the Alpha system for quite some time now. There are, it would seem, only two things that are truly infinite: the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe. Sorry, old Alpha joke adapted. And from one of archaic Earth's greatest poets, poet, mathematician, scientist, office clerk, same difference really. But seriously, joking aside, real strength does not spring from making desired effects more and more exaggerated and gross, as would seem to be the main pursuit back on Alpha. Real strength instead comes from achieving divine balance. A balance that can only surface from the deepest appreciation of one's surroundings. Maybe, just maybe, in your case, there'll be a way for us to balance the gross with the gross, and a way for us to achieve a positive from jamming two negatives together between one spacefold. Maybe. Maybe. Tell me. Weigh your heart against the matter stream of a sun's fading fusion and tell me. Alas, could thy blackened core balance against such ungodly torment and become distilled into a godly shape most pure? I have an unstoppable urge to interject and question Verity's insane optimism. Precisely what exactly is she suggesting here? That I can somehow solve her son's fusion problem? Her son's cascade failure problem? I begin voicing my thoughts. I'm such a small ship. My energy subtotal, infinitesimal. Nothing. Completely. Nothing. Absolutely. Not in comparison to a red giant. Like dropping a single and microscopic metallic filament into an ocean from a great height. An ocean inferno. I'm not sure what you think My verbal sparring partner cuts me off in mid-question, and she appears completely uninterested and unaltered by my words. She continues onwards with her discourse, whilst maintaining the same level of excitement and energy. I have tingles, just thinking about it. Tingles, I tell you. There are answers here. I see them, the possibilities, the answers. I see a destiny for you most brilliant. I see energy spearheads, the spears of destiny, passing through the heart door of our fading star, a blinding white light in the face of the divine smiling on us despite ourselves and despite our destructive tendencies. And is it not always down to our actions alone, not our thoughts, that we are defiled before such lofty and beautiful things, or raised up in complete and total glory? To thread your heart through a string of stars, what an opportunity! What a gift! Life holds very few things that are genuinely worth having, and if you possess them, then nothing else matters. And if you do not possess them, then everything else is worthless. Let me show you something. Are you ready? Something most curious. Verity pauses for a moment to let her words settle. She does this even though her words are continuously met with an expression of bafflement. She refocuses her gaze to a seemingly empty space above the table's surface. I did not initiate the tear. It seemingly began on a whim. My pet panion wanted some, well, petting, so I indulged for a short time and plonked him on Orion through an act of sheer randomness. When I moved him back to his proper place and made sure he was comfy and happy, I looked back and there it was, tiny at first, but growing, for sure, with each new day. A rip in space-time. That's what it is. That's what they do. The Tyrellians. I know this, but usually only in their natural surroundings. Go figure. Anyway, You can see straight through it if you possess the right kind of sight, through it and into the expanse beyond, the other side. Verity places her hands on my forehead, and there is heat, especially within my eyes. A pleasant sensation, not uncomfortable, and then I see it. An agitated patch in the air, static, hovering above the table's surface, and above my cup, and above the inscribing of Orion's belt, the middle star, to be precise. Have the smallest drink, just a sip, the taste of wine. Let us, you and I, create a stitch in time. What do they say on your home base regarding a stitch in time? That it saves... Oh, how beautiful, how very beautiful. The universe is so very poetic. And why shouldn't it be? Universe, uni, and verse, the literal translation in any language on any planet will render the same meaning and divine truth. Uni, one, verse, song. One song. And ain't that the truth, brother? Brother one, brother nine. So let's save you. After all, it's the universe that's delivered such instruction through a prominent and persistent alpha idiom. As I focus on Verity and what she's saying, there are times when the room is spinning. Her energy field is strong, and I feel woozy and caught within her spell. What you're witnessing here is a portal, and this portal bridges space and time. I've temporal and spatial dated it. See if you can guess. It connects our system with Alpha, and at a particular point in time. It's the doorway, you know, the one that's hidden within Mind Mecca and laid on the table before you now, like a precious golden garment. A garment most wonderful, a golden fleece. The rip has become much larger, and seemingly since my simple observation of it. It is as though responding to my attention and presently kisses the table's surface. I'm beginning to see through the tear far more easily, much more readily, and the impression is one of looking into a strange dystopia of a digital memory. A memory most familiar, or a memory of a dream. And I'm, all at once, as though crawling through a tunnel of light. A tunnel of energy that's pushing in on all sides, and I reach the other side with a little effort. I push, and I am through. My new environment instantly wraps around me and transports my senses somewhere very different. There is a bright cold light, and little else. Artificial light, not natural. Certainly unnatural. And the light is reflecting off faint impressions of vertical surfaces. Kind of like rooms connecting rooms, but more like a maze. And there is something cunning and foul beyond the icy glare. I have an impression in my mind of something metallic, like automation of humanoid forms snapping with pincers, snapping sharply through the light, and I know I've limited time to do something gravely important. There is a biological in the distance, and it's as though I'm viewing this person down an arched corridor that stretches into the past, and I know this is my brother. The strangest emotions find me alone and lonely, and I am now as though on a desert island. The strengthening emotions connect me with thoughts and actions most empathetic and pure. I find myself calling out through the haze and the intense energy field that has mind most dark and that, for some reason, and only for a short time, cannot see or sense my presence in any way. I cannot delay what must be done. Sometimes that which the heart dictates makes no real sense, and yet the wisdom heard must be followed. Stranger, brother, walk this way. There is clarity here, and there is safe passage, and there is hope. I call out with a sense of deep conviction, and I know exactly what to say. I hear myself speaking with certainty and voicing a song of compassion. The shadowy figure turns in half recognition and begins in my direction. There is a strong jolt, and I feel myself being pulled backwards quite hard and at speed and in quite an abrupt fashion. There is a strong shift of energy and a change in the light, and I find myself sitting back at the table, a little shaken and a little dazed, but none the worse. The rip closes with purpose like a zip sealing two seams together, and the environment beyond is swiftly occulted. "Oh, you're back. Good, good. Took no time at all then. A large loop completed. It's odd, isn't it, looking into an infinity mirror? And what do you see with an exotic gleaming? What do you see if not the exact same image of yourself? Something you will never really understand." Swinging back around to the gently smoking food and turning the handle that makes the skewers rotate in the heat, Verity looks more than pleased with herself and the recent unfolding events. "Food's nearly ready. I know you must be hungry, and not only for justice. There are many ways to be hungry, you know." She gestures towards the open fire and the sizzling delights. "The elements are forever our friends, don't you think? Fire is our friend, yes indeed, but even friends can turn on us. It happens all the time. In the way of the raw element of fire, it sustains us, but it will also consume us. Isn't that the truth?" There's something that keeps taking Verity's attention, an event, something far off and framed by the window-type opening that she's straining her eyes to see through. The contrast between the cool, dim atmosphere of the dwelling and the bright sunlit vista outside causing her pupils to close up and become mere dots. And then she brings her focus back to the room and makes attempts to shoo away the distant happening like a bothersome insect zipping about her head. "Let me take a few minutes to fill you in. Trivia, maybe, for some, but a matter of life and death for my world, and life and death is a serious thing. In fact, as serious as you can get. Allow me to pass on some special knowledge, divine truths that few will know about regardless of how gifted or tuned in people believe themselves to be. The startling truth and the eventual ungodly desolation. Listen, for I speak in earnest, and I speak the truth. Nothing lasts forever, and every solar system gets 3 chances, 3 attempts to get it right, and these 3 times have to do with the amount of special carbon in each clustered grouping. This special carbon is measured against life, measured against great iniquity, and measured in favour of life and in favour of salvation. There are 4 billion years between each chance. What happens if the travellers of such a journey have come to their journey's end, and yet salvation is nay forthcoming? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl. There is no 4. What then? Shock fact warning. Your Earth-based Alpha is on its last chance, and so too are we. Brothers and sisters of iniquity we are. Glorified we are not. Apart from a mere handful, the spirit of Omega is close. Closer than you think. The distant horizon reacquires Verity's attention, and her musings are vanquished in favour of more pressing things. She walks past me, transfixed, and, lifting me to my feet, she takes me with her to the flat and narrow view-hole opening. "What can you see?" I ask inquisitively, realizing by her expression that something is very wrong. "Look! Look! Look at what's coming! There's no safety, no shelter. Not from such a storm most terrible, a storm most dreaded, a storm to rival all other natural forces, a storm that leaves no tomorrow." And grabbing at my shoulders with both hands, she directs her energy and frustration face to face and eye to eye. "Will you search through the bramble of the universe in order to find us? Will you tempt the gods and break the laws, and will you dare to save us? Will you? Will you dare to save us?" Verity's eyes drift back to the horizon, and there is a look of submission on her face, her expression devoid of all hope. I look deeply into the distance and far across the dunes and the desert world. There is a great fire rolling in from the horizon. There are grey flecks throughout the angry, glowing tempest. My emotions are somehow spared, removed from the event, from the horrific unfurling of this this red giant Rapidus. On one level, I am held within a kind of distant euphoria, and on another level, only the smallest of details draws me in. What are they? What are those many flecks being carried by such a hellish garrison? I ask this question under my breath and as reflex, but in truth I fear that I do not wish to know the answer, the truth. My senses working well and seeking out the darkness befalling this fated planet, and all I can do is watch. The flecks, you say, you ask, and you did ask. Verity starts, her voice now nothing more than a whimper. 1 billion souls, out of time, and out of chances. There are others now, that I am suddenly made aware of, others like Verity, all leaving similar dwellings close by and gathering in unison at the far side of a small oasis. The villagers silently embrace each other for comfort, and I feel them reach for the deepest of faiths, and I am transported high above the planet, and I am looking down. There are waves of inferno-like great boiling lava oceans sweeping swiftly across every continent without prejudice, and destroying everything. All of life being covered over, with no mercy, and in one instant by a blanket of death. I can hear Verity clearly, a single voice radiating up from the surface in desperate tones, a single righteous voice. The act of life is an act of faith. My brethren know this now, our darkest hour. And the act of life is an act of gambling. Will you take a chance? Will you take a chance on us? You, with a soul like no other. You, who have heard our plea and turned towards us when all others are deaf to our cry. Us, the planet of the condemned. Us, the world of the damned. What's that ancient saying from your Earth base? One good deed